What is up, everybody? The end of the summer's weather was pretty crazy, just being extremely hot, dry, and dusty. So one of the things we decided to do on this evening was hit some of the trails that are usually pretty muddy, even after extended dry spells, but it's just been so dry that these trails were rideable in pretty much every spot. It was actually a little slick and sandy with how dry it was. These are some, I don't know, rat trails, bandit trails, whatever you want to call them, just unofficial area of Akron, kind of a no man's land that people ride quads and dirt bikes in. So we went out on this evening to ride a little bit more of the trails than we usually do, and I absolutely loved that dust in the late day sun. It just looked really cool. unfortunately on this evening, after making all these cuts, doing creek crossings, bombing down rocky stuff, we just happened to turn off this trail, and Micah ended up grabbing a little too much brake and went over the bars. His wrist was really hurting him, nothing else. We thought, hopefully you just overextended it or sprained it really bad, but nope, he had ended up fracturing it on this evening, so I believe he's off the bike for 6 weeks, unfortunately. Yeah, it's just one of those things. You ride all this gnarly stuff, and then on the simplest little thing, something goes wrong. It just goes back to my point of when we're out riding in traffic or doing what we do, people always comment about, oh, that's dangerous. And it's just, unless you're going to live in a padded room, yeah, you have to enjoy life. Stuff is going to happen from time to time. A lot of my late summer rides have been commutes. I've been doing a lot of work with the University of Akron as usual. On this day, I was shooting some drone footage for a power generation company. This is going to be the new Dirty River Bicycle Works down the road. There'll be more information on that coming. And then also Erin has been meeting me sometimes when I'm already downtown photographing. She'll come out, meet me, and then we'll go ride somewhere else. So on this evening here, I had some shoots at the University of Akron. Erin met me, and then we jumped on the towpath and went out and got some dinner at Magic City on a beautiful evening. This morning, Erin and I got up fairly early and headed in the car to the Canal Exploration Center. It was the day of the Towpath Century Ride, which is a big fundraiser for the Ohio and Erie Canalway Coalition. So 100 riders raise money. They ride the whole length of the towpath either in one day or in 2 days. So I always pick a spot to get photos of the riders as they come by. We had actually been hoping to find a spot so we could show the canal with water in it. Unfortunately, the canal was completely drained in this section. I think it was partially with the drought, and then farther up here they were working on a bridge and they did have part of it dammed up. So the spot turned out to be really cool though. The light was perfect, and I have a couple of those photos at the end you can check out. After we saw the sweepers of the ride, we hopped on our bikes and we took the towpath north up into Cleveland. We were going to head over to Ohio City and find some breakfast. place we wanted to check out in Ohio City had a pretty long wait, so we ended up pivoting and trying another new place. That place was called Little Cloud Sandwiches, and it was fantastic as well. So that was a little closer to downtown, right at the top of Irishtown Bend, if you're interested in checking it out.
I'd like to state for the record that I believe a macchiato should have more milk than just a tiny spoonful of foam on top.
Noted.
Is it?
For 2 miles into Independence, and from there we'll be getting off trail and taking the roads back to the car at the Canal Exploration Center. Enjoy!
This newish Hemlock Creek Trail was pretty cool. It was a couple 100 feet climb up into Independence, and there were some cool views off the side that the GoPro won't really show. You know, some rocky ledges and little ravines in the Hemlock Creek and stuff like that. We went up into Independence and kind of cruised around their area with their main parks and their high school before jumping out on the roads and bombing back down into the valley to the trailhead where our car was. So later that day, I went and met Ben over at Patterson Park a couple miles from the studio. The cyclocross course for Thrill on the Hill was set up. That is the last video I posted. You should check that video out if you hadn't. We brought the good camera gear and did a bunch of interviews and things like that and showed a bunch of cool footage. But me and Ben decided to preview the course that evening. And then after we rode the course, once we headed downtown Cuyahoga Falls to find some food because it was Cuyahoga Falls Oktoberfest. So after all that dry weather, fall hit and it has rained for 3 days, but last night we found a little gap in the rain and managed to get out for a few hours. So it is fall, y'all. Bring on the pumpkin spice. Anyways, thanks as always for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.